Leo brought the girl I'd sponsored home with him. In front of everyone, he refused to marry me. You're an eyes. I'm not worthy. Chloe needs me more. I looked at them and suddenly smiled so brightly that Leo froze and the entire ballroom traded uneasy glances. Fine. I set down my crystal flute, my voice ringing clear enough for every guest to hear. Since your love is so epic, I'll let you have it. However, I stepped forward, locking eyes with the panic flickering in his. The $3 billion check I just wrote your company. Shouldn't you cough that up with interest? Before we continue, please subscribe to this channel and comment where you're tuning in from. Theodore's 80th birthday gala had drawn every bold-faced name in Eastbrook. Of course, the old man didn't command that kind of star power on his own. They'd come for the engagement announcement. His grandson Leo and me. The Stirrings are East Centennial Dynasty. The apex predators lounging at the top of the pyramid. The Ashfords are mere upstarts who climbed this far only because my grandfather tossed them a rope. Leo and I had grown up side by side, the perfect fairy tale match, and he'd always spoiled me, attentive to every whim. His family hitched themselves to a winning ticket. They were social climbers hitching their wagon to a comet, an honor their ancestors must have lit incense to secure. No one in the room expected Leo to refuse, including the me of my last life. I'm honored you'd celebrate this old man's birthday, Theodore began, and prouder still to announce the engagement of my grandson Leo to the sterling eyes. Knowing smiles broke out. Applause thundered. Then Leo's voice, urgent and angry, cut through the cheers. Grandfather, I object. Stella is an eyes. I'm not worthy. Chloe needs me more. The girl beside him lifted her head timidly. Bargain bin gown, bony shoulders, straw-dry hair, average features. Only those wide doe eyes were worth a second glance. To this day, I can't fathom why he dumped me for her. Not because I loved him, but because I can't find a single category where she outranks me. Not even by a hair. Pedigree, looks, education, poise, character. I obliterate her in every metric. Gasps rippled through the crowd, jaws dropped. Jordan blinked, stunned. What nonsense are you spouting? Leo curved an arm around Chloe's waist, spine ramrod straight like some unbreakable mountain. I said, I will marry only Chloe in this lifetime. No one's opinion matters. Jordan snatched a glass and hurled it. Leo didn't flinch. Tea streamed down his face in brown, humiliating rivulets. He turned to me, gaze adamant. Stella, I love Chloe. I hope? Spare me the hopes. I cut in, still smiling. I grant you your happiness. You two are a match made in heaven. Cosmic soulmates. Everyone here is touched by your pure true love. Do send me an invitation to the wedding. I'll prepare a spectacular gift. Now, to avoid further confusion, how about you return that investment I just wired you? My breezy agreement stunned Leo for several beats. Then doubt clouded his face. Stella, we've always worked well together. No need to torpedo a partnership over a tiny hiccup. Classic cake-eating hypocrite. He assumed I'd swallow the insult to save face in public. I let out a soft laugh and swirled my wine goblet. Jamie, are you delusional? Half the uncles in this room would kill for my term sheet. I can name a dozen hungrier, cheaper, sharper partners than you. If not for our engagement, why would I park $3 billion a year with you? I'd get more satisfaction lighting that cash on fire. Leo paled. He'd never heard a harsh syllable from me, let alone a public eviction. I kept my gaze glacial, lips curled in contempt. Can't handle a little humiliation? Buckle up, sweetheart. Guests smothered smirks, their eyes skewered him, his hands balled at his sides, yet he managed a long-suffering smile. Stella, still so willful. Same old act, the one that fooled me last time. I'd love to slap him twice, but that's premature and nowhere near enough. I said sweetly, Jamie, please don't speak to me in that tone again. My future husband might question my taste. Can't have him thinking I'm nearsighted. Leo opened his mouth and found nothing. Chloe piped up in a tiny voice. Sister love can't be forced. Blame me. Not Leo. He's innocent. I rolled my eyes over her and chuckled coldly. Innocent? I bankrolled your schooling. Days ago you finally turned 18 and you're already declaring eternal devotion. Does the phrase statutory ring a bell, Leo? Leo's face drained. No, it's not. I arched a brow. Decent adults don't develop crushes on kids. Chloe rushed to defend him. I fell for Leo first. I confessed after my birthday. I laughed outright. Decades of childhood promises smashed by a teenager's confession. Well played, Leo. The harder they justify, the deeper they carve their own scandal. An indelible stain. I drained my glass, slammed it onto a waiter's tray, and declared loud enough for the orchestra to hear. Henceforth my engagement to Jamie is void. We are strangers. I strode out head high. Why swallow insults? Why grant them dignity? Let all of East choose sides now. Rustling skirts and clicking heels followed. 2/3 of the ballroom emptied behind me, every last one of them pillars of the social register. Those left behind were minor league. I barely reached the foyer when Theodore's curses and the crack of a cane on flesh echoed out. You disaster. You'll bankrupt this family, you little bastard. 3. Mom and Dad took the jet home that night. Dylan, minerals can wait. Their only daughter cannot. Stella, what happened? You and Leo were solid. Why the fireworks? Mother searched my eyes for tears. Finding none, she exhaled. Father rested a hand on my shoulder. We don't know the details, but you've always known your own mind. Charge ahead. We'll handle the debris. That backing was why I could torch the room without blinking. I'm the lone heir. 3 generations distilled into one pampered only child. Mom, Dad, I like the Ashfords' fortune. How about we buy them out? They blinked. Sweetheart, we're game, but grandfather and Theodore go way back. I frowned, biting my lip. Fine, let the old man keep his house. But Leo's heir days are over. Any decent prospects in that generation? They exchanged a single glance and answered together. Adrian. I nodded. Done. They smiled, relieved. If it's Adrian, he's actually the better choice. Only then did I learn the boy originally chosen for me wasn't Leo at all. It was Adrian, son of Theodore's first wife, a true grande dame. When Theodore cheated and the mistress arrived with toddler Leo, she divorced him and left Eastbrook with Adrian in tow. That was when Jordan begged my grandfather to rescue the tottering Avery empire, which led to the engagement between Leo and me. Adrian came home twice after that, both times to see me. But I didn't know the undercurrents and treated him coldly, so he never returned. Truly, dragons breed dragons. Alex, a rat's child, can burrow. In my memory, the aloof Adrian had a patrician grace only the lawful wife could have taught. I got his number from my parents and texted him straight away. Free tomorrow, Stella? An instant reply. Tomorrow's no good. I'm giving the commencement address. The day after me. Okay, see you then. Perfect. Looking forward to it. Good night. Know the enemy and know yourself, and you fight 100 battles without defeat. After we set the date, I started digging into Adrian. The file made me whistle because he kept a low profile and I'd never heard gossip. I'd assumed he was ordinary. Far from it. Top student at a top 3 Ivy, youngest visiting professor in its history. A towering presence in his field. For the first time, I felt a flicker of inferiority towards someone my own age. Only a flicker, but he was undeniably formidable. No wonder my parents' faces had gone odd when I said I wanted to back him. If he'd been mediocre, I'd have had no qualms. But Adrian gave me pause. Sorry, the flight was delayed. Close to 6 feet 4 inches. Sunlit glass behind him, a slim gold frame riding his straight nose. Adrian bowed and handed me sunflowers. The sunset poured through the terminal windows, molten gold sliding down the sky. He looked like a painting come alive. I took the flowers, the perfect picture of poise. No worries. I just arrived myself. Casually I asked, where did you fly in from? He settled into the seat across from me. London. My fingers tightened on the stems. That far. Only 15 hours. Caught the last red eye. When his clear gaze met mine, I glanced away. Stella, don't feel burdened. I'm thrilled you reached out. His voice was warm velvet with an older brother's timbre. Yet he spoke my name as if we'd grown up side by side. Clearly, he knew more about me than he let on. His innocence was camouflage. I spun my wine goblet. Tell me, Adrian, do you know why I asked? He smiled. Of course, I keep an eye on things even from abroad. The night before last, Leo publicly refused you for another woman. Avery shares shed at least $1.7 billion by morning. You're too proud to stay allied with him, but grandfather Sterling prizes loyalty, so you turn to me. Smart enough to smell danger. Exactly what intrigued me. I curved my lips. Are you interested? Adrian nodded. I wouldn't have flown 10,000 miles if I weren't. I'd expected that answer. Still, curiosity niggled. With your brains, you could seize it without my help. He studied me. But the prize I want has only just appeared. So I was the prey. I let a slow smile show. Then, let's see if you're capable of claiming it. After dinner, he drove me home. The trunk held gifts for my parents. He'd come prepared. Mom and Dad showed no surprise, greeting him with backslaps and fresh invitations to dinner. Adrian was perfectly balanced, neither servile nor arrogant, outclassing Leo by a mile. Although my parents had once broken their word to him, he'd kept in touch all these years, big enough not to bear grudges. Mom watched his taillights. If it's him, your father and I could rest easy. Dad added. Takes after his mother. Character you can't buy. They seldom praise anyone, let alone together. Adrian clearly stood apart. Adrian's sudden return detonated the uneasy calm of the Ashford estate. When he announced he was staying, Jordan's face twisted while Leo bristled like a threatened tomcat. Once the pampered crown prince, trained as heir and cushioned by my backing, Leo had mistaken privilege for destiny. Now he sensed quake lines beneath his feet. My biggest mistake had been soft-heartedness. Leo knew my code and played it against me. I'd been taught never to bully, to honor loyalty, to pity the weak. Lessons noble in intent, worthless against rats. I'd wondered why Leo would fall for Chloe. One look at Adrian supplied the answer. Some people gravitate by nature. The bastard son of a social climber and a scheming scholarship girl speak the same language. The instant I saw Adrian, I recognized kin. Pedigree matters. The next morning, I dressed in a tailored sheath, precious gift box in hand, and called on Jordan. Grandfather Sterling had urged the courtesy. I also meant to give Adrian visible support. An absent son returning home deserves a welcome committee and a chance to score goodwill. Besides, I wanted to gag Leo with the sight of how little he mattered without me. The butler had let me in countless times. Today he ushered me straight to the sunroom. Jordan brightened the moment he saw me. Stella dear, sit beside Grandpa for breakfast. Leo occupied the chair to Jordan's right. Automatically, he shifted, and a servant materialized to insert another place setting. I smiled, walked past him, and stopped at the foot beside Adrian. Set the chair here, please. I heard Adrian was back and came especially to see him. Jordan's glance flicked between us. Then by all means, let's all sit together. With that, Adrian moved from exile to Jordan's left, directly opposite Leo. Leo's face soured, his stare wounded. I ladled soup for Adrian. I just read your profile in the academic journal. Youngest visiting professor ever at Globe Top 3 Harlan University. Even as kids, I envied straight-A students. I'll have to dine with you often and absorb your brain waves. Theodore's brows shot up. He studied Adrian as if for the first time. That being the case, the old man declared, you'll start at the office tomorrow. No lounging about the house. Leo sat bolt upright. Grandfather, Adrian just got off a plane. Besides, he lectures students. He's never run APL. Adrian chuckled softly. Dual masters in economics and management. No battlefield experience, but I'm willing to learn. Leo's expression collapsed, every jealous thought stamped on his face. I kept my eyes on my coffee, stirring slowly to hide the mockery in them. I had just lifted the cup to take a sip when Adrian slid his own in front of me. Drink mine. Milk and sugar. No bitterness. Leo gave a contemptuous laugh. Stella never touches sweetened coffee. Adrian's hand moved to take the cup back, but I laid my fingers across his wrist and smiled. I didn't used to like it, but I'm willing to try. I tasted it, clawing, yes, but not bad. Pretty good, I said, still smiling. From now on, my coffee gets sugar and milk. If my earlier manner had been quiet support for Adrian, this was me planting my flag at his side. A glint sharpened in Jordan's cloudy eyes. Stella, what Leo did the other day was wrong, but the marriage pact was struck between your grandfather and me when you two were in diapers. We've long considered you family. If Leo no longer suits you, what about Adrian? No. Shock and panic flashed across Leo's face. Stella isn't some object you can swap out. He was only now realizing that if I chose Adrian, his own claim to the throne would wobble. Back when he'd basked in the glow my name gave him, gratitude had never crossed his mind. While Leo flailed, Adrian stayed unruffled, even lifting a petite fork to my plate. I gave a small deliberate smile. Jordan, I'll think it over carefully. Jordan barked out a laugh. Good. I hadn't said yes outright, but he understood the signal. Adrian would soon find the full weight of Jordan's favor behind him. After breakfast, Adrian and I headed out to shop. At the door, Leo sprang up, complexion ashen. Brother, I need a word with Stella. Go inside. Adrian ignored him, looked down at me for confirmation, then walked off only after I nodded. Stella, my brother's no good. Stay away from him. I folded my arms, half smiling. Oh, and how is he no good? Did he get engaged to me for 10 years, then run off with another woman? Leo's expression said he'd expected that jab. His voice softened. Stella, I've always seen you as a sister, but you're the most special person in my world. You're not like Chloe. She has nothing but me, so I have to protect her. I know how kind and pure you are. You'll help us, won't you? Tender words, triumphant eyes. He'd used this routine countless times. By the end, I hadn't believed a syllable. I just pitied him and, out of old affection, bailed him out again and again. I laughed coldly. Guess why your brother rushed home from abroad? He blinked. Why I curved my lips. My grandfather owes yours a favor, so the marriage must happen. But the Ashford line doesn't end with you. The moment your brother appeared, the scale in my heart tipped. He's exactly my type, and he outclasses you in schooling, experience, and polish. So Leo, you're benched. If Miss Sterling feels too formal, you can start calling me sister-in-law. My voice carried. Adrian, standing a few paces off, heard every word, the corner of his mouth lifting in a dazzling smile. Such a wicked beauty. Stung, Leo managed only. Stella, when did you become this shallow? I gave a mocking smile. Right. Back then I was shallow, wasn't I? I strode straight to Adrian. Handsome faces are good for the eyes. Sure, Leo's easy on the eye too. Refined, a little arrogant. But next to Adrian, he fades. Adrian looks born to rule. Danger glinting around him like a crown. He bent to open the car door, smile tucked at his lips. I liked what you just said. Say it more often. I laughed lightly. Depends on your future performance. He inclined his head. Then I'll make sure you see my sincerity. I'd already stopped underestimating Adrian, yet he still sprang surprises. Although Leo had nested inside Avery for years and most executives were his creatures, Adrian secured a foothold within 2 weeks and pulled off a spectacular coup, closing the overseas deal the firm had chased for 2 fruitless years, the largest in company history. Next, he leveraged his network to pry open every major door in London and opened a branch there outright. At my habit of turning up at his office for lunch, severed partnerships began to knit back together. Praise for Adrian mounted daily. Even Leo's staunchest loyalists had to admit Adrian was operating on another level. With board and shareholders unanimous, Adrian vaulted to CEO, equal in rank to Leo. Leo panicked. Rumor claimed Midtown would shift eastward onto the old outskirts, carving out a new pedestrian mall, and a huge tract of vacant land was headed for auction. Naturally, he wouldn't miss it. From our private box, Adrian and I watched him and Chloe down below. He murmured, "You didn't drag me here just for the auction, did you?" I grinned. "Of course not. You've warmed the CEO seat long enough. I'm gifting you the presidency." He gave a lazy nod. "Then I'll wait and watch." He lined peeled grapes on a clean saucer and nudged them toward me. First day at his office, I'd lingered over the fruit tray. He'd noted my weakness for grapes and remembered he's never spoken a direct admission. Yet whenever I appear, his gaze locks on me alone. I teased. "Thought you were just a bookworm. Turns out you can hustle too. Lucky I'm only fighting your kid brother. If it were you, I'd be in real trouble." He wiped his fingers with a linen napkin, drawing, "I'll never be your opponent ever." I popped a grape, curious. "Why not?" Chin propped on his hand, he smiled. "Because I promised your mother and I promised mine." I stared, meaning he reached over to take the grape seeds from my palm, utterly at ease. "I'm 2 years older. From your first cry to your first word I was there." Everyone told me to take care of you, my future bride. So I did. You were mine, only mine. Once at the amusement park, the mothers went off to ride, leaving me to guard you. They said, protect her. I agreed. Then father brought his other son home. Mother took me abroad. You and Leo got cozy. And you forgot me entirely. I said, ashamed. Sorry, I don't remember any of that. He smoothed my hair, resigned. I'd let you go, but then you provoked me again. Sometimes I swear I can't win with you. I never cared about the rest until he showed no regard for the little rose I tended so carefully. That irritated me. Time I reclaimed what's mine. 9. The auction began with trinkets, jewelry, and minor paintings before the real lots arrived. The jewels were high grade for an auction, but old money barely notices. Chloe was different. The adjectives alone made her heart race. Paddle shooting up repeatedly. Only a few $100,000 was pocket change to Leo, who didn't mind at all. Since I had nothing better to do, I told my paddle man to jump in on every lot Chloe wanted. I kept running the price until she paid several times what she'd planned. After a few rounds, she clued on and glared up at me, cheeks flushed with fury. I lounged against the balcony rail, lazily flicking open a silk fan and smiling down at her, the picture of provocation. Adrian stepped out of our private box and took the spot beside me, bending to murmur a soft laugh against my ear. You really enjoy baiting the two of them, don't you? My expression stayed unreadable. It's the weekend. I've got time. Just then Leo lifted his gaze as well. Once he would have been seated up here with me. Now he was marooned in the stalls below. His eyes were cold, stripped of the polite mask he used to wear. He'd actually called a few times. Things weren't going his way and he needed help. But I'd ignored him completely. The sheer gall made me want to laugh. I'd orchestrated every thorn in his path, and he thought I'd toss him a rope. Kicking him while he was down was simply a matter of choosing the right moment. When Chloe realized I was playing with her, she quit bidding. But an extra couple of million was nowhere near enough to satisfy me. So the next piece, an emerald jadeite bangle, came up and I raised my paddle first. The opening price was $3 million. The stone was beautiful. A few other hands joined in, but by $5 million, the room had gone quiet. Chloe snapped her paddle up. $520, I countered. $550. A triumphant smile lit her face. $560. I lifted mine again and let a winner-takes-all grin bloom. $6. That smirk must have stung because Chloe didn't hesitate. $610. Leo threw an arm out to stop her, but the hammer had already heard the bid. Going once, twice sold. Congratulations to Jamie for the $6 million $10,000 lot. Leo shot me a savage look over his shoulder. I answered with a princess-perfect smile. Adrian gave a low chuckle. Drop that much on a bracelet and grandfather will skin him alive later. I curved my lips. Don't underestimate me. Did you really think this was all I dragged you here for? When the final parcel of land rolled out, understanding dawned on him. He pushed his gold-rimmed glasses up the bridge of his nose, his smile sly. 10 Laos wouldn't equal one of you. From the moment I flew back, you'd already set the board. With or without me, the result would be the same. He wasn't wrong. His presence only gave my move a veneer of legitimacy. Absent it, sterling power was already concentrated in my hands. 1.3 billion, 1.5, 1.8. The rumor I'd seeded 3 months ago struck home now. Leo still had guts. He barked. 2.5 straight off. That single offer scared off the rest of the room. I raised my paddle. 3 billion. I wasn't afraid he'd fold. He needed a headline victory over Adrian, and his cap was 5 billion, the absolute limit on Avery's books. I didn't intend to bleed him dry. When he pushed to 3.9, I let the lot go. Leo sagged with relief, mopping the sweat from his forehead. Adrian lifted an eyebrow. Done already? I smiled. Have to leave you a little working capital for what's next. He was silent for 2 beats. Fair point. Outside the sale room, Leo was waiting, brimming with premature victory. Your one chance to beat me just evaporated. I actually worried you'd snatch this site. After all, I'm nowhere near as loaded as Miss Sterling. Didn't think you'd back off. Guess your intel isn't as good as mine. You've no idea what this parcel means. Adrian, you can be 10 times sharper. And what does it get you? Another loss. Stella, you shamed me at that party. Soon it'll be your turn. Everyone who looked down on me is going to end up under my heel. A lesser man tasting power swells faster than a balloon in a hurricane. Still, watching him grovel under our heels this past month, I can't grudge him a moment to bark. I gave a playful smile. Rumors about Midtown shifting toward the outskirts? Forgot to mention I started that rumor. Want more breaking news? I've got contacts. Leo sneered. Spare me the tall tale. You know where that intel came from? Straight from the top. His phone rang. Jordan's wrath exploded through the speaker. Who authorized you to blow $3.9 billion on a worthless swamp? It's bordered by a state forest. No factories, no condos, nothing. Get your sorry ass back here now. Leo froze. It can't be. My source said Midtown is relocating. You walked into a trap. An imbecile. You're not even 10% of Adrian. Stay away from the boardroom. You're an embarrassment. The line went dead. Adrian's phone rang immediately. Jordan's voice returned. Silk this time. Adrian, headquarters. The board's convening and they're waiting. Come quickly. Yes, grandfather. On my way. Leo's eyes blazed as the truth struck. Stella, this whole thing was your setup. Adrian shifted in front of me, and I peeked around his shoulder, grinning. Correct. 10 points. Leo lunged, but Adrian's fist crashed into his jaw and dropped him to the marble. Looking down at him like gutter trash, Adrian said, Stop flailing or I'll finish what my mother wouldn't. Understood. A single icy sentence in terror eclipsed Leo's rage. He scrambled up and slunk away. He's afraid of Adrian down to the bone. In the back seat, Adrian slipped off his glasses, the mild scholar vanishing behind a razor-sharp glare. But when he looked at me, his gaze softened. Lunch first, then the office. I fluttered my lashes. Jordan's frantic. They'll be in chaos by now. He shrugged. When the roof caves in, they always shove me under the beam. Let them stew. I didn't answer. Everyone hides chapters they don't reread. He spoke anyway. I was supposed to have a little sister. When Leo and his mother showed up, my mom was 4 months along. Leo shoved her down the stairs. We lost the baby. He was a child. His mother knelt. My father took their side. So my mother took me and filed for divorce. Hawthorne wanted blood. Crushing a tiny family like ours would have been nothing, but Mom was soft. Once your parents proposed the engagement to Leo, they let it go. I wet my lips and looked up. Have you ever blamed us? He shook his head. Of course not. You were the most innocent one in it. Sometimes I grumble. You once swore you'd marry nobody but me, then forgot me entirely. But when I see how bright and fearless you still are, I'm glad. Same girl I met at 7. No wonder my parents praised his character. His mother, they said, was true aristocracy, the kind that raises sons with horizons much wider than their wallets. I pulled a folder from my bag and handed it over. I don't remember the childhood vow, so here's my apology. 10% of Avery's founder's shares, market value roughly $700 million. He laughed softly. Only you could tip that much and call it a makeup gift. I smiled. An apology has to look like an apology or it's just talk. His eyes met mine, bright, possessive, and entirely certain. Very soon I'll let you see my good faith too. Talking to smart people is simple and an even exchange. Adrian sailed into the newly created post of vice chairman at Avery. And the first thing he did was fire Leo and boot every loyalist Leo had planted. Next, he broke ground on a luxury retirement resort at the top of the development site Leo had bought at an insane auction price, landed a monster loan, and closed the gaping hole in the books. His capability was there for everyone to see. Tact, guts, connections. He was born to rule a boardroom. Of course, I was hardly second best. I bagged several national-level mega-projects and took on a string of Belt and Road Aid initiatives, turning Sterling into the government's preferred partner, and shifting us from merely the top of the pyramid to the only spire left standing. For a moment, no one could touch my spotlight. Leo, once the man who would spend millions on a whim, now found his plastic frozen by Adrian. Each month he lived off the 100 grand allowance his mother sneaked him. That kind of money would feel like a lottery win to most families. But for Chloe, who had only just tasted the sugar of old money, it was nowhere near enough. Poverty makes love ugly. The sweeter it had once been, the pettier the squabbles now. One night, Leo went out drinking with the guys and didn't even have cash to pick up the tab. Eastbrook laughed for a week. Finally, Leo cracked and came crawling to me. Stella, Chloe tricked me. She's not the innocent angel she pretended to be. She swore it was never about my money, but the minute I hit trouble, she started picking fights over every cent. Do you know how much she burned through? I only asked her to sell a couple of bags to tide us over, and she refused. She said they're hers and I have no say. I was wrong, Stella. I really was wrong. I opened my mouth to answer, but an arm banded around my waist. Adrian pulled me back against him, chin settling in the hollow of my neck, voice husky. Didn't we agree no one was allowed downstairs today? I laughed softly. Behave. Your little brother's still here. Only then did Adrian lift his gaze to Leo, reeking of booze, eyes bloodshot, suit rumpled and smeared. Back for another handout, little brother. Leo's fists clenched, veins pulsing at his temples. You think you can snatch my company because you're brilliant? Without Stella, you'd still be some penniless lecturer abroad. He's using you, Stella. He doesn't love you. Don't fall for it. I curved my lips in a cool smile. Oh, he doesn't love me. You do? The word shot out of Leo before he could stop it. Yes, Stella. I love you. I arched a brow. Really? Then prove it. Right in front of me he dialed Chloe. We're done. Don't come crawling to me again. Chloe's shriek of curses burst through the speaker. He hung up and gave me an eager puppy look. I let out a short mocking laugh. Leo, what makes you think that after sampling your brother, I'd still want you? If you don't own a mirror, I'll gladly sponsor a few so you can weigh your worth. I shut the door and locked him outside. Being with Adrian is pure exhilaration. He has the stamina of an athlete, and once the glasses come off, he's the textbook definition of a debauched gentleman. After an entire day of tussling, he carried in a bowl of noodles he'd cooked. Only then did my strength trickle back. Night had fallen. When he finished his shower, he simply stretched out beside me. Men aren't allowed to sleep over, I warned. He grinned and flicked his tongue over his lip. Fine rule, retired. After all, we were officially engaged. Chloe's life unraveled just as fast. After Leo crashed into my door and bounced, he funneled every drop of frustration at her. Screaming matches replaced sweet nothings. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't be in this gutter. You only know how to burn cash. What else can you do? Used to being kept. Chloe had lost the courage to fend for herself. She believed a baby would nail her place in the Ashford dynasty. She really was pregnant and rushed home radiant with the news, only to find Leo stumbling and drunk with a pack of fair-weather buddies. A scuffle broke out. Chloe was shoved, fell and lost the child. Shattered and raging, she dialed 911. Leo woke up in a holding cell, East snickering at the Ashford scandal. In the end, the family paid dearly to coax her into recanting. Chloe took their hush money and vowed to start fresh somewhere far away. But her parents, who'd raced down from the mountains, wrapped her in guilt and tales of debt until they marched her and the cash straight back to their village. Word has it the money evaporated fast. She's stuck there now, rumor silent on whether she'll ever escape. Leo escaped charges, but his mother, blamed for rearing a liability, was ordered out of the Ashford mansion by Theodore. With Adrian in command, the clan froze Leo's branch out. The once golden heir is now barely tolerated furniture. My wedding to Adrian was the most spectacular Eastbrook had seen in decades. Every power broker and socialite crammed the pews. Leo showed up too, wedged into the remotest corner, nursing bourbon after bourbon. His stoop-shouldered slump was a jarring smudge on the glitter. Halfway through the feast, he was already swaying. When he tried to lurch toward the head table, security eased him out. Polite final. Later, I heard he wandered into traffic distracted and was badly hurt. He lived, but the injuries will take years to mend and will mark him for life. The rest of his days promise nothing but pain and penny pinching. During the reception, I caught a glimpse of a discarded newspaper a waiter whisked away. Something about smashing crime rings in backcountry counties. I didn't read the fine print. I simply looked elsewhere. Stella, what's tickling you? Adrian asked, lacing his fingers through mine. I tucked a stray lock behind my ear and beamed. Today is perfect, that's all. He followed my gaze to the folded headline, smile bright as morning. Yes, darling. Today is absolutely perfect. The end.